What's up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima, and if you're like me, and, well, the other 99.8% of gamers and just people in general who don't use Apple Arcade, you may be surprised to know that they had a Square Enix game called Various Daylife. Now, this game actually was ported over to the Nintendo Switch recently and was shadow dropped at the latest Direct. Well, I've been playing it for a while. Let's figure out if it's worth your time. But before we get into that, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. If you don't, I'm gonna have to stalk you. Anyway, during the last Nintendo Direct, I was incredibly excited when I saw Shadow drop a new Square Enix game. I'm a huge fan of Square Enix, and yes, when they decide to really screw up a game, they can do it. But for the most part, their games are really solid. And so the fact that I also saw that it was around $24 to $29, I figured, well, it's gotta be pretty decent. Now, I, again, did not know this was from Apple Arcade, or I would have done a little bit more research. I just saw Square Enix, Various Daylife. I've heard it's kind of like a sim game, is kind of what it looked like. So I was down. I played it, and let me tell you, first off, you start off as a character that is part of an expansion from your kingdom, and you're basically volunteering to be able to go over there, but the trade-off is that while it is your free decision to go to this island, you do have to work. And as you're part of the 7th wave of colonists to arrive on this island, it is your job to do more of the expedition. Now that they've kind of set up the base, the core of this new colony, if you will, now it's time to explore, find out what else is out there, and, obviously resource and probably enslave the natives, that kind of stuff. And so as you start, you get to actually pick your own character, what they look like, and you have this gigantic, massive amount of options to choose from. No, I'm kidding. Just 3. And they're all a white guy with either brown hair or dark hair, looking subtly annoyed to pretty annoyed. There's really very little difference in what character you choose. But there is a difference in what job you have, as you can choose different jobs. Everything from like secretary to warrior to server. And these different jobs also kind of facilitate your need as a role in combat. If you're a warrior, obviously, it speaks for itself. A secretary is more like a magic user, a server is more like a support member, so on and so forth. Well, the thing is, though, I don't think a lot of people are going to enjoy this, because right now it actually sounds pretty decent, right? We're getting to the problems. No, for the most part, this game only lets you level up through working, but you don't actually work. You just hit a button, and then it's simulated for you. And you don't really even get to see what you do. You just kind of see your success rate, and you see how much experience you get per job. Hit the button and lets you know if you were successful or not. Now, the whole key of this, though, in totally level grinding, is to work consecutively without missing any time in between. The more consecutive jobs you work, the higher experience rate you get, capping off at like 1.5. But this is why I think that this whole thing is a lie. And in fact, this island is more of a cover-up for manufacturing meth. And let me tell you what, because my character has not slept in 28 days. He's just been working straight through. And to, fully cap off my theory, how do you gain stamina and how do you improve your mood so that you're better at working? You go out with your friends and you spend an absorbent amount of money. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, a front for little white line trouble, or is this just, a character who can stay up for 30 days without sleeping? Anyway. One of the other goals of this game is to actually go out on these expeditions and find different resources, explore, so on and so forth. And this too is a problem because you don't control your characters. You get to watch them walk from the side, and you just watch them walk. You run into an enemy, and finally, at that point, you can finally really start to do something, as you can actually battle. Now, the battling is pretty cool, but it's also incredibly standard. Like, every RPG you've ever played pretty much has the same thing. Now, it does have this chance change system where, like, you essentially, it kind of works off of, like, elements, and depending on what character you use, it depends on, like, how you affect the enemy. But again, it's barely worth it, if I'm being honest. And the reason why I'm so down on this game, above and beyond, is this is an Apple Arcade game, which you could play with just a subscription to Apple Arcade, and I believe it's like $4.99 a month. I might be wrong, but this game is $29.99 in America, which is insane. It's not worth it. Like, this is one of those like passive type games, which, by the way, if you're one of those people who thinks, I want to play a video game, but I'm just too lazy, yeah, you got some issues. I love you, but you got some problems. This is my thing. Like, there's no RPG fan I believe is really gonna like it, because it's like if I was trying to get my kid into RPGs, this is the game I would start him on, because it's very limiting. There's not a lot to control. But anyone who actually loves RPGs and Square Enix games, they're not gonna enjoy this. You don't have much control. Now, you do get to interact with characters and build some sort of relationship, but even that is really hollow. And that's my issue ultimately with this game, is there's just no depth. And for the price. Now, if this game came in at around $9.99 or something like that, I think it'd be worth it. But this completely skates on its name alone, as it's made by Square Enix. It's definitely not worth it. I don't recommend getting it. If I had to give it a score, I would give it like a 3 out of 10. And yeah, honestly, I think I probably would have, if it was cheaper, it would earn a much higher score, because there is some fun to be had, and when you're exploring, it is actually quite beautiful, but it's like watching something and hitting a button, the same button over and over, and just watching it. Like, there's no point. There's no skill. Not for me. But anyway, like always, I'm wishing you guys health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy, because you all make me happy. I appreciate you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.